Hello, Smith Band Ninjas. My name is Mrs. Key and I will be one of your senseis this year, and my ninja name is Super Sensei. Today, in your Tome Talk, we will be talking about reading notes on a staff. The first thing you need to do about reading notes on your staff is learning your musical alphabet. The musical alphabet is only made up of 7 letters, and these letters are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And it's just these same 7 letters over and over again. It doesn't go on in the alphabet, but it's the first 7 letters of your regular alphabet. So these letters can be read forwards and backwards. And you also can start on any of the letters. So you can start on A, you can start on G, you can also start on E, or even D, C, or B. You guys get it. So whenever you're learning your musical alphabet, make sure you practice saying the words out loud in any order, both forwards and backwards, so that you can get a feel of what comes next and what comes before each letter, so you guys will get really good at knowing your musical alphabet. Next, we will be talking about staff and bar lines. The musical staff is made up of 5 lines, as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In our musical staff, we also have these vertical lines, and these lines are called bar lines. Now, if we only have one of the lines, it's called a bar line, but if we have 2 of them, that is called a double bar line. A bar line is what separates and organizes the music out into what we call measures. And that's what's in between each bar line. A double bar line is usually, but almost always, at the end of the piece, at the end of the music. And if you happen to forget how many lines or spaces are in the musical staff, you always have one with you, your hand. Your hand has 5 lines, just like the staff, in your fingers, and you have 4 spaces in between the fingers. So you can always remember that way. Next, we will be talking about musical clefs. In music, you will see either one of these 2 clefs. So this first clef is called the treble clef, and that is what you would play if you play a higher instrument that plays higher notes. And if you play a lower instrument with lower notes, you will be playing with this clef called bass clef. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do I know which line and which space is what? No, I don't know. So I'm going to teach you. So starting here in your treble clef, if you play the treble clef instruments, you will always start at the bottom line. And that's the same for both treble clef and bass clef. So with your treble clef, you start at the bottom line. The bottom line is E. And you move up the lines E, G, B, D, and F. And I like to remember my lines and spaces through acronyms. And so my favorite acronym for treble clef lines is Every Good Burger Deserves Fries. And you can come up with your own acronym if you'd like, but that's my favorite one. Next is the spaces in the treble clef. So when you put all the lines and spaces together, it just goes up your musical alphabet, but I like to remember them separately. So starting at the bottom, like you always do with the treble clef with your spaces, it's F, A, C, and E. And you can use an acronym for this as well. You can either remember the word face, or you can remember the acronym forks and chopsticks everywhere. That's my favorite. Next is the bass clef lines. So same as the treble clef, you always start at the bottom. So at the bottom line is G, then you move up to B, D, F, and A. And an acronym that you can remember for that is Good Burritos Don't Fall Apart. And then moving on with the spaces, again, you start at the bottom with A, C, E, and G. And this acronym goes along with the previous acronym, and you say, always carry extra guacamole. And that's my favorite for bass clef lines and spaces. Next, we will be talking about ledger lines. So in music, we don't always stay inside these lines and spaces here in the staff. We need to go higher and lower off of that staff so that you can play higher and lower notes. So on the treble clef, you would start with the top line and then go up the musical alphabet to go up, or start at the bottom line and go backwards in the musical alphabet down. And make sure that just like you would do whenever you're in the staff and counting up your musical alphabet, that you do the same thing here, and you always go line, space, line, space, line. So starting at the top, it is F, then the space above it is G, then the first ledger line is A, and then moving onward and upward, B, C, and then it can keep going. Same thing at the bottom. You start on E, and then you go backwards down the musical alphabet to the bottom space underneath the bottom line is D, then C, B, and A. Same kind of thing with the bass clef. You need to go higher and lower from the staff sometimes. So you start on the top line and you go up your musical alphabet. It's pretty easy because it starts from the first letter of our alphabet. And you go A, B, C, D, E, and it can keep going as well. And then if you wanted to go down, you start at the bottom line and you go backwards. G, F, E, D, and C. So you might be thinking to yourself, Mrs. Key, the treble clef lines and spaces are very similar to the bass clef lines and spaces. So there's a reason for that. So the treble clef and the bass clef can be connected by what's called the grand staff, and that's both of them together. And this is just going up the musical alphabet all the way up, and that's how they are connected. If you play piano, that's how you can play on a grand staff like this, but you guys don't want to have to worry about that if you're playing on a musical instrument in band, okay? Well, thank you for coming to this Tome Talk today with Mrs. Key, your super sensei, and tune in for the next one.